Well, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to hear me clearly, okay? Pandora's box didn't just crack open, it exploded. For nearly a decade, we've been told to shut up, sit down, and accept the official story about the Russia hoax. We were mocked, we were censored and demonetized, fact-checked, and smeared as conspiracy theorists. Every time we asked a question, they told us that we were crazy. Y'all remember that, right? Drop a right down below, guys. Every time we demanded transparency, they slammed another vault door shut. Well, guess what? President Donald J. Trump, he's back in office, and those vaults are finally being pried open. And tonight, right here, we're going to be looking at the most explosive evidence drop since the original Obamagate leaks, because Tulsi Gabbard, Trump's director of national intelligence, just walked out of Langley with a whole stack of classified documents that Brennan, Comey, Clapper, and Obama's own inner circle never wanted you to see. We're actually talking about the intelligence assessments allegedly rewritten. Guys, this is crazy, okay? Sources allegedly manipulated, dissenting analysts allegedly overruled, and a narrative that may have been engineered from the ground up to destroy one man, President Donald J. Trump, in 2016, and it failed. But here's the part that should terrify every corrupt insider inside Washington tonight. 20 former CIA and FBI officials have now come forward. 20, not one or two, 20, okay? They aren't whispering anymore, guys. They aren't hiding behind anonymity anymore. They're pointing directly at the Obama-era intelligence machine. They're saying the quiet part out loud, folks. This wasn't incompetence. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was an operation. And the question on everybody's mind right now is simple. What did Barack Obama know, and when did he know it? Because if what Tulsi Gabbard just revealed is really true, if these documents hold up, then the entire Russia collusion narrative, the Steele dossier, the media hysteria, the investigations, the indictments, the impeachment, all of it could collapse like a sandcastle in high tide. So make no mistake, guys, the people who built that sandcastle, they're panicking right now. And you can feel it in their statements, in the rushed interviews, in the sudden legal posturing. Something is happening behind the scenes in DC, and it feels like a political earthquake, because this isn't just another chapter. This isn't just another leak. This isn't another bombshell that fizzles out. No, this is Pandora 2.0. And once Pandora's box is open, you can't close it. Not this time. Not with this evidence, and not with 20 insiders flipping. So buckle up, folks, because tonight we're going to be walking step by step through what Tulsi Gabbard just exposed, why it's collapsing the entire narrative that they built back in 2016, and how this could be the biggest political reckoning in modern American history. Hit the like button and subscribe, guys. Folks, let's start with why this is even exploding right now in November 2025, okay? So President Donald J. Trump back in the Oval Office, and the moment that he walked in, he ordered a full declassification review of every intelligence product that was tied to the 2016 to 2020 Russia investigations. Now, suddenly, documents that were buried, that were redacted, or even sealed for years, they're finally surfacing. This is why people in Washington are sweating, because this isn't a debate anymore. This is Pandora's box 2.0, and it's coming alive under a Trump-led DOJ. So every crash feels the same. First there's denial, then there's panic, then there's regret. But the few who prepared early always come out ahead. This is why I partner with Noble Gold Investments, because they help people prepare before the next uh-oh moment hits. They show you how to add physical gold and silver to your retirement plan, real assets that hold value, no matter what the stock market does. Most people who take the time to learn say the same thing. Well, that just makes sense. And this is why most people are calling right now. The phone number at the bottom of your screen, 877-646-5347, or they're visiting RonYatesGold.com to get their free wealth protection kit, because the next market correction isn't a question of if, it's when. And when it comes, you'll either have protection or you'll have an excuse. And the person leading this charge is none other than Tulsi Gabbard. Yes, the former Democrat who broke ranks years ago as Trump's director of national intelligence in 2025. She has the legal authority to pull every file, unseal every vault, and demand transparency across really all 17 intelligence agencies. Now, her involvement, this is a political earthquake, because the media just can't dismiss her as a partisan figure. When a former Democrat presidential candidate exposes alleged Obama-era misconduct, the entire narrative shifts. This is exactly what's happening right now. So now here's where everything tilts, guys. The House intelligence report Tulsi just pulled, it wasn't misplaced. It was sealed inside of a CIA vault for nearly a decade. 10 years, at least 10 years. And so investigators are saying that it was locked away after senior officials flagged political sensitivity. Yeah. So in other words, it wasn't buried for security reasons. It was buried because of what it revealed. And now that it's out, Well, we're learning that it contradicts portions of the narrative that was pushed back in 2016. Analysts in 2025 are now saying that newly declassified attachments change the entire picture. So the most explosive allegations emerging from these documents involve claims, again, allegations that senior Obama era officials encouraged selective editing for intelligence. Fox's 2025 reporting describes some concerns that early drafts didn't match the final assessment. Several whistleblowers recall meetings where Obama, Brennan, Clapper, and political appointees discussed how to frame Russian intent. Nothing here is declared as fact, but the allegations alone are stunning. If guidance was shaped by politics and not analysis, then every conclusion drawn afterwards becomes immediately suspect. Whistleblowers are saying that the turning point came during the Brennan-led assessment, when analysts reportedly received these unusual directives that broke from the standard tradecraft. Several claim that they were instructed to elevate unverified Trump-Russia links while downplaying contradictory intelligence. Some were even told not to include certain field reports at all. These analysts documented their concerns internally, noting pressure from senior leadership to support a predetermined conclusion. That's what makes this moment so nuclear, guys. Career professionals are saying that they felt boxed into a narrative that they didn't even believe themselves. Those directives fed into 4 core claims repeatedly used from 2016 onward: that Putin preferred Trump, acted to help him win, held compromat through the Steele dossier, and colluded with the Trump campaign. But newly declassified documents reportedly show analysts disagreed on all 4 points. Some even believe that Russian motivations were more chaotic. Others said that the Steele dossier lacked verification, and none saw evidence of collusion. None. Zero. Whistleblowers are saying that these disputes were minimized in final summaries, creating today's push to re-examine every pillar from scratch. Now, before we move on, let me pause for something incredibly important and honestly something that has been changing lives every single day. Everyone has that one decision that changes everything. For thousands of retirees, it was calling Chapter about their Medicare plan. And this is why I partner with Chapter. They make that turning point simple, fast, and life-changing. Now, one viewer said, "I felt like I got my power back." So let me ask, is this your turning point? Now, most people already crossed that line at 909-563-8279. Phone numbers down on your screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org. And of course, it is a totally free call for the Ron Yates community. And speaking of that, here's a real comment from one of our viewers who made that call already. So Luland, he said, "Thanks, Ron. Thanks for the advice about Chapter. I called and it helped me out a ton. So thanks, buddy." All right, so let's get back into it, okay? So now we get to the Steele dossier, okay? This is the document that ignited years of political warfare. The 2025 DOJ review uncovered gaps in its sourcing, raising new questions about who fed information to Christopher Steele in 2016. Recent British intelligence disclosures reveal that several leads Steele relied on, they were considered low confidence even overseas. Now, if you combine this with the newly declassified U.S. memos, investigators are now arguing that the dossier's foundation was shakier than originally acknowledged. Its chain of custody is being re-examined line by line for potential political influence, and then, boom, the dam broke. 20 former CIA and FBI officials stepped forward in 2025, providing statements, internal memos, and context for the intelligence disputes. They can't be named publicly, but investigators are saying that they represent a cross-section of analysts, supervisors, and even field officers. And many say that they stayed silent due to career fears and political pressure, but with Trump back in office, they felt protected enough to speak. Their testimony paints a consistent picture of discomfort with how certain conclusions were shaped. Now, according to these witnesses, the pressure didn't just come in subtle nudges. No, it came in explicit directives from senior leadership. Analysts describe these memos contradicting the final intelligence assessment, with their objections either being removed or rewritten. Some flagged clear tradecraft violations, saying conclusions were being pushed faster than evidence even justified. Several noted that dissenting views were ignored entirely. So whether these decisions were political or bureaucratic, that part's still under review, but the pattern is deeply concerning. Analysts felt overridden, not consulted, especially during these pivotal moments. So this kind of brings us to the current moment. Right here in 2025, guys, President Trump ordered a multi-agency review of all the Obama-era intelligence products that were tied to Russia, empowering DOJ, DNI, and multiple inspectors generals. Now, the stakes couldn't be any higher because If discrepancies are confirmed, it could reshape public trust in federal institutions. The administration has publicly called for full transparency, while Obama-era officials insist the assessments they were proper. But still, with new documents emerging weekly, Washington is bracing for potentially significant accountability measures in the months ahead. So Tulsi Gabbard's public comments ignited the political world because she didn't hold back. She spoke of coordinated actions within the intelligence community, language that conservative outlets immediately interpreted as evidence of internal cabals working toward shared political ends. Her background makes the message a very powerful one. A former Democrat, a former presidential candidate, a veteran, and now Trump's D&I. I mean, it hardly gets more credible than that. Her credibility across ideological lines turned her statement viral overnight, forcing even establishment media to acknowledge the seriousness of the issues that she raised. So next are the claims of data suppression and cherry picking. Whistleblowers allege that certain intelligence streams contradicting the Russia narrative, they were sidelined, while unverified sources, including online postings, were elevated. Newly surfaced documents show discrepancies between draft reports and the final public assessment. This raises some very difficult questions. Were these decisions driven by urgency, political pressure, or flawed judgment? Well, Brennan and Comey's past statements defending the process, those are now being contrasted with emerging documents adding fuel to the push for further investigation. Now, to understand why this is erupting right now, you need to compare 2016 with 2025. Back then, these agencies operated under a political environment that leaned heavily against Trump, shaping how investigations were interpreted. Now, today, with Trump back in the office, the climate is entirely different. Officials feel safer challenging past decisions, and new leadership encourages transparency. Democrats argue that reopening these cases is politically motivated. Meanwhile, Republicans claim it's long overdue accountability. The clash is fueling today's explosive, high-stakes environment. So the legal landscape is now front and center. DOJ and the inspectors general, they're examining whether actions taken in 2016 constituted political misconduct or crossed into potential criminal territory. The difference matters. One is bad judgment, but the other one is illegal. Investigators are assessing if evidence was intentionally misrepresented, suppressed, or even altered. And suddenly, the Democrats' old mantra, no one is above the law, this is being echoed back at them. If intent is ever proven here, the legal consequences could be historic. So now I want to talk about the stakes. I mean, hypothetically, without assuming guilt, if these allegations were ever substantiated, the implications would be massive. I mean, this will raise all sorts of questions about election integrity, the politicization of intelligence, and whether powerful agencies were misused for partisan ends. This could shake public confidence to its core. This is the part that really keeps Washington awake at night. Every new document release seems to deepen this mystery. So if the next drop is worse than the last one, the fallout could be unprecedented. Now, inside the intelligence community, reactions are completely split. Now, some career analysts welcome the transparency, saying sunlight protects the integrity of honest work. Others, especially former leadership, they're expressing deep concern, calling the new reviews politically charged. Current officials are saying that they're committed to revealing the truth, but privately, sources describe some real anxiety among those previously involved. All I can say is this: tension between career staff and Obama-era appointees, this is growing clear. The divide shows just how sensitive and politically consequential that these allegations have become here in 2025. So far, Barack Obama has offered limited public response to the newest allegations surfacing in 2025. His past statements have firmly denied any political interference in intelligence work, emphasizing that agencies operated independently. But newly released documents and whistleblower accounts have renewed scrutiny, prompting reporters to seek fresh answers. Now, Obama's silence now carries weight. Critics argue that it reflects concern, while reporters are saying that he has no obligation to engage. Either way, the gravity of implicating a former president cannot be overstated. Now, congressional overreach has been explosive. GOP leaders, they're calling for immediate hearings, demanding testimony from former intelligence officials, and pushing for subpoena power. They argue the American people deserve complete transparency regarding how the 2016 assessments were produced. Democrats counter that reopening these investigations risks politicizing intelligence all over again, warning against selective interpretation of documents, but still, bipartisan voices, they're quietly acknowledging that the emerging inconsistencies do require clarification. So the fight brewing on Capitol Hill could become one of 2025's defining battles. So this is where the real Pandora's box effects kicks in. So every time a new document's released, instead of closing gaps, it opens up new ones. Analysts reviewing the file say inconsistencies multiply with each disclosure. Key decisions aren't fully explained, draft language doesn't match final summaries, and internal disagreements appear more significant than the original ones reported. This is why Washington's insiders fear that this is only the beginning. The narrative isn't stabilizing, it's unraveling, and no one knows where the thread finally leaves. Now, for the whistleblowers who came forward in 2025, the stakes are enormous. Many risked their own reputations, their careers, their personal safety just to speak out. Investigators are saying that several witnesses hesitated for years, fearing retaliation from former leadership or some kind of political blowback. With Trump back in office, they finally felt protected enough to testify. Their disclosures are shaping the entire review process, and the credibility of their statements will determine what happens next. Now, these individuals, they're not some fringe voices. They're career professionals who felt compelled to act. Now, stepping back just for a second here, okay? The big question on everybody's mind is very simple. Could the entire Russia narrative collapse under the weight of these new disclosures? If future documents continue undermining the original assessment, it would reshape modern political history. It would force the country to re-examine how intelligence was gathered, interpreted, and even communicated. Now, for many Americans, this would confirm the long-held suspicions about political bias within federal agencies. And that possibility right there, however uncertain, creates a level of national tension we haven't felt in decades. So, well, what happens next, right? More documents are scheduled for release, DOJ reviews are ongoing, and Tulsi Gabbard has already hinted that additional vaults may open soon. Criminal referrals aren't guaranteed, but investigators are saying that they are within the realm of possibilities if intent is ever proven. Washington's bracing for impact, unsure of how deep the inconsistencies truly run, but one thing is certain. Once Pandora's box opens, you can't close it. And tonight, America's waiting to see what emerges next. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.